we have seen that uh, this is the background which he has given in the appendix. Sorry, this is the appendix 1, which is showing the market research data. So in the market research data, we have seen that the male, uh, regarding the male, there is an increase in the buying trend or buying patterns for the fast food from 40% to 70%. And then over here, for the younger people 15 and under, in which our business is actually targeting, that is increasing from 10% to 20% as well. So generally we'll be using this data, and we'll be specifically mentioning this data because this is going to be our application while having the explanation. So we'll be using this data in our answer. So he says, explain two ways the market research data shown in appendix 1 could help Ruben make the business decision. So way 1. So 8 marker, that means 1 mark for the way and 3 marks for the explanation. So way 1, how it will be helpful for making the business decision. So the first thing which we are seeing is from 40% it is increasing to 70%. So that means way 1 would be uh, targeting our products more inclined towards the male section of the society as compared to the females, right? That is going to be your way 1. And then in the explanation, what will happen if you are actually targeting the male, you will be telling, mentioning that in 2019 40% of the male as compared to 60% of the female were buying from the fast food takeaways, but right now 70% of the male are actually buying from the takeaways as compared to 30% of the female. That shows the larger chunk of the market is now the male people who are actually interested in having the takeaways, food takeaways from the fast food. That means we are going to have the increased sales if we are targeting the male society. If we are other way around, if we are targeting the female, there will be decrease in the sales pattern from 60% to 30% because they are the smaller chunk of the market. Other way around, if the good thing in that is if you are targeting the female, obviously the consumers or the competitors won't be targeting towards the female as well, so you will be able to develop a USP. The good thing about the female, targeting female, can be, if you want to mention that, we can have a USP because all of the competitors might be actually targeting the larger chunk of the market, and everyone will be ignoring the smaller chunk. So that can be a point, but obviously it is out of the way. Generally, we normally say that 40% of the male in 2019, and right now it is 70%. So we'll be targeted towards the male society more. So there's an explanation. And then what will be the impact? Obviously, the sales pattern will be increasing because now we'll be have a 30% increment in those people. That means we can have 30% increment in the sales if we're targeting the male society, particularly based on the research data. Second way is basically we'll be using the second information, that is from 10% to 20% at 15 and under. And in this case study, he has told us that he is going to target the children who are having the same age bracket. He has mentioned in the previous case study. So we'll be mentioning that particular thing as well. So the way to is targeting the children will help us increase the sales, because previously it was 10% of the society, but right now it is 20% of the society. So even if we are targeting 20% of the whole industry, that means it's quite a good amount or a good number of sales if we're targeting the children, which are actually being ignored. And the trend, if the trend is positive, that means we'll having a positive, it may increase to 30% in the next year maybe. So we can project based on this data. So if it has increased by 10% in the last year, so it can increase in the 10% for the next year as well. So 10% to 20%, that is a positive trend. And the rest of the trend, if you're seeing from 19 to 29 and 30 and over, they are actually decreasing. So we will be mentioning that particular thing, that rest of the trends are actually declining, but the trend of the 15 and above is actually increasing. So that will help us out in generating the sales for the future. So way 2 is going to be targeting 15 and under, will be helpful for us. And if in the future the trend continues, we'll be having the increase in the pattern from 20-30%. That means we're going to be futuristic in this approach. So way 2 can be targeting children would be a good option. And explanation, the impact of targeting the children, you will have to mention. Plus, but one more, and one of the most important things which you will mention in the explanation is, we are not only targeting the children. Remember this thing, we are targeting the people who are from other age brackets. For example, 50% are 16 to 18, and it is still a larger chunk. So you will say that we are not only targeting the children. Targeting the children can be our USP, but still to increase the sale, will be targeting the people from 16 to 18 years of age as well, because they are 50% or more of the society, and it is a greater chunk. So we cannot ignore the greater chunk, even if the trend for the children is increasing. That must be mentioned in the answer. Part B says, consider the advantages and disadvantages of three sources of finance outlined in Appendix 3. If Ruben chooses to buy the franchise, which source of finance should Ruben choose? Justify your choice of cost calculation for each source. So consider the advantages and disadvantages of three sources of finance. So first source of finance is the bank loan. So you just have to, how many marks? 12 mark and 4 sections. That means 1, 2, 3, 4. That means 3 for each section. So what you need to do is just try to mention advantage and disadvantage. At the end, you will have to obviously go for one section. So whatever thing you are choosing, you will have to give 2 advantages for that particular thing and 1 disadvantage, and vice versa for the rest of the points. For example, if you are choosing inheritance from grandparents, there must be 2 advantages this particular thing and 1 disadvantage, and rest of the 2 points, bank loan 1 and bank loan for 3 years, should have 2 disadvantages and 1 advantage. And in the recommendation, give the way forward that what will be the impact if you are choosing one particular method of finance for the case. So that will be your way forward. So that's all for this paper. I would suggest to at least attempt this paper ASAP and submit your responses so that I can have a look at them, and if there is anything that needs to be improvised, will be obviously I'll give you the feedback on it. And the most important thing in this paper should be 2 things. Remember, 1, the application should be there in every analysis, because in paper 2 the application is really important. If there isn't an application, the analysis is not going to be acceptable. So the second thing is focus on the recommendation on the 12 marker. Every part B style question is the 12 marker, and you will have to focus on the recommendation. The way forward has to be the futuristic approach, right?